Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And, just last week or so, I've done a couple things about Tarzan. I showed some of my Tarzan, some more of my Tarzan comic book collection, which included the Gold Key issue featuring the Tarzan of the Apes adaptation. And that got me thinking about other comic adaptations of Tarzan of the Apes, the novel. Not just comics about Tarzan. So, and if you followed me for any length of time, you've probably heard me say that Tarzan of the Apes is my favorite novel. Edgar Rice Burroughs is my favorite author, with Robert E. Howard coming up a close second. Yeah, all of my favorite authors are dead. Okay, in Tarzan of the Apes, by Edgar Rice Burroughs. In 1912, it was a story serialized in All Story pulp magazine, and then released as a novel in 1914. The novel and character was so popular, he continued the series into the 1940s with a total of 24 novels, then plus The Lost Adventure, which was added in 1995. I guess it was from so that was his Tarzan novel, posthumous Tarzan novel. I guess actually a couple of them were published posthumously. But I gather this was from an outline, an unfinished outline, and then another author finished it. But that popularity gave rise to numerous films of varying quality, starting in 1918, as well as TV series and animated shows, and radio shows. There were at least two different series. Again, we're all talking about American. There's no telling what else there is out there in the world, because we know there've been movies, Tarzan movies in India that are unauthorized and stuff. Had a radio show from 32 to 34, which had an adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes in it, and that series had Burroughs himself had input into that series. Then there was a series in the 1950s, which was did not even cover the Tarzan origin. But as far as comics are concerned, 1932 is when it had the comic book the comic strip was created. Tarzan comic strip was created, and it started off with an adaptation of of Tarzan of the Apes, done by Hal Foster, 1932. But the first in comic book form was from Gold Key, and it was in Tarzan number 155 by Gaylord Dubois and Russ Manning. It said 1966, but that says, my sources said it was 65. My other sources said that was 65. Let's see, what is it? 65. 1965. So, and then had Joe Kubert for DC, had a 4-part adaptation in 1972. And at the same time, Bern Hogarth, that's his name. Bern Hogarth, who had previously been the artist on the comic strip for several years after Hal Foster. I guess that was 74. He did a comic book, a comic adaptation in 74. I thought the book said 7. No, Yeah, 72, about the same time as the DC version. But that did not cover the entire thing. That was only a little over the first half uh, of the book. Okay, and then while Marvel Comics had the license for Tarzan for a few years, they did not do an adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes. They did spend most of that run on an adaptation of Tarzan and the Jewels of Opar and some Jungle Tales of Tarzan stories thrown in. In 1984, had Marvel Super Special magazine did an adaptation. Had an adaptation, but again, that only covered about the same point up to the same point as the other one. Then we go all the way up to what would it be 20? I didn't get the year when Dynamite got the license. I think that was, what was it, 2005, 2006, somewhere. Or more recent than that. I'll see when I get to it. Did an 8-issue loose adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes, and to my knowledge, from my research, those are all of at least the official comic adaptations of Tarzan, the novel Tarzan of the Apes. And this is one of my favorite versions, because this is the version that I had originally read as a kid. I have several different copies of different versions of course, this is unabridged. This is unabridged, but with illustrations by Jesse Marsh, who had been doing did the Tarzan comic book for, what was it, 18 years, I think. And here we are with the which I just showed, I think, last week. Tarzan of the Apes. This is 155 with the great Russ Manning art adaptation with and the Gaylord Dubois script, and it's very abbreviated, and it doesn't even conclude the novel. This goes up to the point where Jane leaves the jungle. So we never actually see how Tarzan gets out of the jungle. Okay, and here is the, which I've also done a whole episode on before, the Bern Hogarth Tarzan of the Apes. But in case you've never seen it, some really beautiful, beautiful work. And a great adaptation right up until it concludes. This is right after he kills Kerchak and takes over the tribe of Kerchak. And unfortunately, I do not have the Hal Foster version. Oh, I meant to take this out of the plastic. The Hal Foster version. I've only got my stuff starts with the second volume. So that's just for some background. Then we have the DC Joe Kubert adaptation. This is the limited collector's edition tabloid size book, and it was originally in 4 standard issues of the new comic book, which carried on the numbering system from the Gold Key. But you can see here, and in my estimation, even though the art is not as spectacular or beautiful as the Bern Hogarth, I love the Joe Kubert art, his storytelling, and his adaptation. And in my opinion, this is the best and the closest, even though there are a few little things left out, the closest to the novel itself. And then we get to the Marvel Super Special from 1983-84. I think it was done in 83 and actually released in 84. With this beautiful cover painting that was done by Charles Wren, and he did several of these paintings, including, there's a nice inside cover, and then here on the back cover. And it looks to my eye like he based the face of Tarzan for these paintings on Warren Beatty, actor Warren Beatty, which I have a hard time imagining as Tarzan. But the interior art was done by Dan Spiegel, who had a long history with, not with Tarzan himself so much, but with doing Korak, son of Tarzan, at Gold Key. And along at the same time, here is a, it's not comics, so I'm not going to talk about that much, but you see it's the same cover painting. It is a juvenile version of Tarzan, or this Tarzan, King of the Apes. The same painting, cover painting, and this only goes up to the same point that that this comic adaptation goes. And at the same time, the Tarzan of the Apes was being reissued with cover paintings, these cover paintings on them. And I was going to say something else about that. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think it was in conjunction with the release of, not directly but indirectly, with the release of the movie Greystoke. And Greystoke in 1984, and that is probably overall the best produced and best performed Tarzan movie in history. And they don't even call him Tarzan in the movie. But unfortunately, in that adaptation, it only goes up to about the same point here for the adaptation. After that, it strays, because Edgar Rice Burroughs had problems with adaptations of his books. That's why they're almost, after a certain point, they are no more direct adaptations of his books. They're all original stories. Then, here we are, The Lord of the Jungle from Dynamite. And it was, I guess it was 8 issues. I only have the first 2. I showed these last week. I thought I had the trade paperback reprint, and when I went and dug that out, that's actually for the Return of Tarzan. So I've got to dig out that one. And this is the beautiful stuff. And this is, what year did I say this was? 2012. Okay, that was 2012. Yeah. So that's the modern and most recent adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes. Had some varying qualities. I enjoy them all. I have mentioned the radio show. I've got the some of the radio shows on tape and CD. I love the radio shows, and I also have several audiobooks of versions of many of the Tarzan books. But I actually happen to have 3 different audiobooks of Tarzan of the Apes. See, it's my favorite book. So that is all that I've got for you this time. Just a little review of the adaptations in comic form of Tarzan of the Apes. And remember, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell me what you like. Which of these versions you like the best? Which Tarzan do you like the best? Or movies or comics? And yeah, leave those comments in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.